What's up, guys? We're live. We're just chatting. We might be doing this a lot more, just getting online with no structure, no script, and just talking about any of the nerd stuff on our mind. Today we got Galactic Core podcast host Andy to do a little live discussion with us. So thanks for coming on, dude. What's up?
It's all good, man. All good. You know, I love getting down with the nerd chat, so I'm absolutely happy to be here and just chat about all the random stuff that's going on at the moment.
So, if you consider the first, when talking's hard. Star Wars, Marvel, or DC? As far as recent news coming out, exciting things coming out, what comes to your mind first?
The news yesterday that the new Superman sequel has been announced. Man of Tomorrow coming 2027. So that's kind of exciting, to be fair. I didn't expect a sequel to be coming so quickly, to be honest.
That's huge. Remind me, what did you think? You liked the Superman movie, right? High sevens?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, to be fair. I enjoyed it more than Fantastic Four. Because I think when I...
You did? Okay.
Yeah. I think when I sat down and looked at both of them and thought which one's got the rewatchability factor for me, I would go back and watch Superman before I would go back and watch Fantastic Four.
Gotcha. See, I've seen Superman twice, so I don't know if that's a valid... I've only seen Fantastic Four once, and I think I liked it more. Obviously, I'm dying to see it a second time. So, if I saw them both once, I don't know which one. I might need to... I don't know. That'd be really hard. I liked Fantastic Four more, dude. I thought it reached a little deeper, got you more edge of your seat, more like... really into it, where Superman was just really good, but throughout the whole movie it was really good. And both good rewatches, both great movies. Great year of nerd stuff so far. It's kind of a rebirth of nerd movies, It's been rough for the past 5 years.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
6.
Although I'm sure I saw that this is the first year that a comic book movie hasn't hit 700 million in box office takings, which maybe shows that bit of fatigue. Fantastic Four hasn't done the numbers we expected. Superman, maybe there or thereabouts, so maybe expecting maybe 800 for it. I don't think it's obviously quite reached that, so... Yeah, I don't think they've done the numbers, but I think it was the same for Thunderbolts, wasn't it? And obviously Captain America 4. Whether you like it or not as a good or bad film, I still expected it to do far higher numbers than it actually did. So it's been a rough one numbers wise for it. People keep saying they're calling out for original films more, so it does worry whether superhero fatigue is maybe setting in. But I think next year when you get Spider-Man and we've got Avengers, they're going to do big numbers regardless.
I've always thought it was just, mediocre movie fatigue. Dude, it's post-COVID. It's like, I think that ceiling that Superman hit it's like making $1 billion before COVID. I really do. I think that makes $1 billion before COVID. I think that it's not superhero fatigue, dude. I think the movies have sucked. And I think that both Marvel and DC have been gaining a lot of trust lately. And we'll get back to that Man of Tomorrow. I want to talk a lot about that too. But sticking to that, look at Marvel has done Deadpool and Wolverine, Thunderbolts, Daredevil Born Again, which might be the most polarizing, and I liked it, and then Fantastic Four. And so now you have Spider-Man 4 coming out, and you have an Avengers movie that they did an okay job teasing up to last minute with a couple post-credit scenes, and one in Thunderbolts, one in Fantastic Four. So I think Spider-Man will destroy Superman's box office, dude, because they have the trust back. I think there is a factor of superhero movie fatigue, but I think that has more to do with the fact that superhero movies specifically have kind of sucked lately compared to that bar that's been set so high.
Yeah.
So I think that factor goes away by now after they've had this trust. And Spider-Man 4 being the Spider-Man IP, man, that could be a monster. And then you have Avengers Doomsday, which, regardless of how they built up to it, is going to be a massive event that clearly crosses $1 billion. No matter what, Avengers movies just do that. So, but Spider-Man coming out right before that is huge. So I think they're on nothing but an uphill climb. Obviously, DC, same thing. Gaining trust with Superman, Peacemaker tying closely to Superman. And then you're kind of riding that horse, that hype, dropping the news of the Man of Tomorrow. So here's my thing. I love it. It's fine. It's great. But one little problem is just like so much super people. After Supergirl, that'll be the third Super People movie. And by then we'll have had Clayface. So how do you like them treating the super family with so much attention going into this DCU. There's so many corners to explore. Part of me likes this, but part of me doesn't. I'll get into it, but what do you think?
Here's an interesting one, because he's almost sort of thrown. You know, when he came out and he went, "Here's what we're going to do. Here's the first 10 projects." And okay, there was no announcement about exactly when or what order these projects would be coming out in. But then there was already a reshuffle of them, and then he went, "Okay, so we're going to do this instead." And now he's throwing in the Superman sequel, only 2 years later as well. So that's got to start filming next year. And so he's changing the order of things already. I think it would have been nice to leave it for another year or two, because you've got a long-term project. It's not like you had to rush back into a sequel to capitalise on it. It's not like people aren't going to want to see the follow-up to this. And I think you needed to lay a bit more bedwork to the DCU with other characters coming in and before you went back to Superman himself. I would fully expect a half-decent Superman cameo in the Supergirl film. And so you're going to get more of him there. And so, yeah, was there a rush to go back to him? I don't think there really was. I would have liked to have seen them add some more of the solid DCU characters in first before going back to him. I would like to have seen at least 2 movies per major character before we even get to a Justice League type film. So that could be 10 years down the line, realistically. But yeah, I think I'm excited for it because they showed some artwork as well, wasn't it? And it was Lex in the green mech suit, fighting Superman. So are we going to get more of the Lex that I think we covered it on my show together, didn't we? When we talked about this Lex was a little bit childish. You didn't quite seem up there as the Lex that we see from the comics or we know from the comics. Not as mature calculating, so I wonder if we'll see that because it's a little bit further on for Lex. So there's a lot of permutations to how the characters could be and whether it's too soon. I do think it's maybe a year or two too soon to go straight back to them. I would have liked to have seen at least Batman introduced, Wonder Woman. They're dealt with as the holy trinity of the previous DCEU, but so they're the characters we're most expecting to come forth. Clayface, I know a lot of people were excited for that, including yourself. And yeah, I just think they needed more characters first before you go back to Superman. Otherwise, it is very super family centric, as you say, because two Superman films, a Supergirl film. What's the point in launching a universe if you're just going to focus on the same character straight away?
Yeah, and I'll play the silver lining side. I think there is so much DC foundational stuff you can tell through super people stories, whether it's obviously Krypton, but then your new gods, your old gods, and any of the other cosmic kind of entities or things out there. We're going to get Lobo. So, Mongol, maybe even a lot of the Reign of Superman stuff, a lot of the Cyborg Superman. It's kind of one of the few characters you can build the whole DC foundation off of. You couldn't do that really with Wonder Woman, or maybe you could. You kind of, in a way, not really though. And then you couldn't do it with Green Arrow, or Batman has his other corner of that world. He has his Gotham, and that's the side of the universe that I would have expected more of this super people attention. You have so many of the Robins, so many of what those Robins turned into, so many villains, so many side characters, your Harley Quinns and stuff like that. Gotham is they're treating the super people like a mini MCU, where I really wanted a Gotham to be a mini MCU. Seeing the origins of the Robins and some of the villains' origins along the way. But at the same time, yeah, I think that they could do a lot of foundational stuff for the DCU. Supergirl, almost you don't, because for example, Iron Man had 2 movies before Avengers came out. That's fine. He was the focal point of the MCU at that point. That's kind of what Superman is at this point. What he clearly is going to become if he has another movie coming out. I don't see him doing a lot of Supergirl stuff. I don't see him being in there a ton. Such a Supergirl movie. It's so different from Superman. A journey across the cosmos, or revenge story. Has a Star Wars aspect where you're meeting species along the way, going to different planets. So that will feel very different. That's not that bad. I'm not going to sit here and say Superman has 3 movies coming out before a big team up movie. So, just because she has the logo on her chest, right? It'll be a very different movie. Very different movie. But Superman sequel coming out feels like Iron Man 2 coming out. And it seems like it'll be stuffed. I bet you it will be stuffed. If your intro movie and Superman had all those characters, now you got Lex Luthor and Belle Reeve. James Gunn posted on social media a picture, one of the cover artworks of Superman standing next to Lex in his green and purple suit. So you gotta believe he's breaking out of Belle Reeve and forming a team, as you and I have talked about on both of our shows, him building whatever the Justice of Doom Society, whatever the hell they're called, and we're pretty confident that's going to happen. And you got to believe that he's going to still be a major villain in this movie. So, do you think there could be a different primary villain here? And who do you see that being, maybe?
Yeah, I do think it'll be another stacked movie, especially since there won't be too many other established films that have come out at that time. I think they'll focus more on Lex. I mean, he was obviously, I guess, the main protagonist of this latest film, but it obviously had a lot crammed into it, and so they focused a lot elsewhere. I do expect this film to focus more on the Superman and Lex dynamic, especially with the fact that they tried to do it at the end here of the latest film, where Lex was saying that he knew Superman, and Superman's like, you don't know me at all, really. So I expect them to maybe explore that relationship a bit more, and the fact that like Lex has really got to know Superman underneath, and then to explore that dynamic between them, because I think that's what makes them great villains, really, for me in the comics, is the fact that they know each other so well, and that Lex plays off that and tries to manipulate, obviously, Superman's humanity in a way, as much as he hates the fact that Superman isn't obviously human, and he plays on that humanity side of it. And so I think there'll still be a lot going on. They'll have a lot of characters, because I think James Gunn wants to flesh that out and introduce a lot of people. And like I said, because there wouldn't have been too many other main character films that have come out at that point, I still think it's going to be a stacked film. That was one of the things I thought maybe was a bit too much for this film, was that there was a bit too much going on. Maybe too much was introduced for a start-off film. And I just don't want him to make the same mistake with the next one.
I have a feeling Lex is just super, super, super important in the future of the DCU. I feel like Lex would be more of a reason to make a Superman sequel than developing Superman. Like, the character himself is pretty good and developed, but Lex has a long way to go. There's a lot of things we're going to go through with Lex, whereas Superman is established as the hero. Soon he'll become the leader of the Justice League. But, you're going to make a great Superman movie, but I feel like this seems abrupt, first of all. And I feel like it seems like more of a movie to develop the world more so than... He's the guy that talks about making sure he has a really solid script before making movies. So, I mean, is he writing this? Did we get any confirmation on a writer?
I don't think so. It was just,
because
kind of tomorrow and the date that it was dropping.
Well, he said it himself. We're not approving projects without a good script, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, that's literally his words.
To me, it just feels a little gimmicky. I don't know why. Let alone, but like, I'm still very excited. I'm excited for so many of those aspects to be explored and developed, especially Lex Luthor, especially the Legion of Doom, man. I really hope they really dive into that. Because do you see Brainiac as the main villain of this? Man of Tomorrow? Do you see Mongol? Because the Alan Moore comic, one of the most classic Superman stories, whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow? So that Mongol was the main villain there. And he's a huge Superman villain, so you could see that. We've never seen that villain on screen.
No, not yet. I think that would be a good one. I mean, it depends how much he obviously wants to play off the actual original comic, isn't it? I know he's making some adaptations as he's doing for Supergirl to that one. Yeah, it's too early to tell, though, isn't it? Like, is James going to be just doing adaptations of comic storylines, or is he throwing a little twist in there, or is he just picking the structure of what that particular storyline is, but then sort of making it his own, like the MCU have done? So it's too early to tell, really, isn't it, unfortunately? And all we can do is speculate until we get a bit more news, but I would like to see Mongol in there for sure.
Do you think this is the next movie James Gunn will direct? I'm pretty confident he'll write it. I bet you he'll write it, but...
Yeah. I'm confident he'll write it. I wonder if he might actually hand the directing ones over for the sequel, though, because he's obviously got a lot on with these projects and stuff.
Yeah, you don't see Kevin Feige directing movies on top of his job. So James Gunn does what Feige does, plus his own movies. I
mean, yeah, to be fair, obviously, we know Feige isn't really a director. I know that he was planning on stepping into that role originally, because he was going to do it for Star Wars, wasn't he? He was going to direct a Star Wars film. Because they had him, like Jon Favreau had him on set during the Mandalorian series to show him the ropes and stuff like that, and then they obviously decided to cancel that and not go forward with the Kevin Feige Star Wars things. But at the same time, we expect it from James Gunn to be doing certain projects, maybe the big ones, and then he steps back for the sequels, like the introducing of certain big characters. I think he'll be the one that directs those, and then he steps back to write them and let somebody else direct. And he'll still be like a producer and obviously overseeing all of them anyway, won't he?
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. As far as the DCU goes, there's not a ton of other news, right?
Really?
Yeah, that wraps it up. Let's wrap it up with this. As of Superman has already come out and gone, what's your most anticipated DCU project before we move on to Marvel?
I am actually really excited for Supergirl. I think it's going to be something different to what we've seen before with the Super Family. As we already said, it's more of a cosmos going around the galaxy, meeting different races type of thing. And the setup of her character already, from being someone that obviously hasn't dealt with the loss of Krypton and her family in the same way that Clark has. And so she likes to go to, planets with red suns, so her powers aren't there and she can get drunk and be a party girl, so to speak, and she deals with her loss that way. I don't think people are used to seeing that on screen with Supergirl, from whether it's the CW TV series that people have watched or the brief appearances we've seen of her in other things. It's not the same setup, so it's going to be interesting, and I'm actually quite excited for that.
Yeah. Me too. A space revenge story. And you already got an introduction to that character. She looks spunky and fun, like a solid lead character. We saw her as Rhaenyra, man. She killed it.
Yeah.
In space, man, with those... that's going to be a lot of fun. It's a very, very cinematic story, I feel like. Okay, yeah, let's move on to Marvel. There's actually a ton of Marvel news. And Spider-Man 4 is supposed to include Hulk and the Punisher. And a lot more. But let's start there. Hold on, my stuff said I'm supposed to be reconnecting. Is everything good?
As far as I can
It went
tell.
away. All right, Andy. How do you feel about these characters being in Spider-Man 4, dude?
I mean, everyone knows my love for the Punisher. If anyone can see, or I was watching the video just there, the little Punisher statue next to Daredevil. Yeah, I love the Punisher. I'm happy to see him in this. The role he plays, who fucking knows, really? It's going to be, what the hell is he doing in it? Someone like the Punisher, what is he doing in a Spider-Man film is outrageous. I know, obviously, they're all in the same neighbourhood, and he obviously has been quite a lot of crossover Spider-Man stuff in comics and whatever. But yeah, I'm really interested to see, well, first of all, John Berthel's Punisher crossing over to the big screen. How much of a role he'll have in the film, I don't know. I'm really hoping that it's fleshed out like at least a quarter of the film that he's a part of, and not just a quick couple of scenes where like Spider-Man's chasing some villains down and he just stumbles across Punisher, killing all of them. So I hope it's like a substantial enough role to make it worthwhile rather than just a little fun cameo. As for the Hulk Bruce Banner, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm kind of like, I've not been enjoying Mark Ruffalo's Hulk.
No one has, dude. No one has.
I mean,
so no one's excited to see him, dude.
No.
But I'll get into my thoughts on that. Go ahead.
It was just, obviously, they made a huge error with Smart Hulk, bringing him and how toned down he was. And then... I was excited kind of at the post-credit scene from Shang-Chi when he's back as Bruce Banner. And you go, okay, he's back as Bruce Banner, so he's gone away from the Smart Hulk thing, he's back to Bruce Banner. And the heavy rumour is that obviously he's going to appear in this back as regular, like Bruce Banner and Hulk.
Savage Hulk.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then that's exciting because you want to see that side of Hulk. You don't want to. No one really cares about Smart Hulk on the big screen. You don't want to see tame Hulk. Yeah, we wanted to see Hulk in Endgame rip Thanos a new one. It just obviously we never got that. We were let down. So returning to Savage Hulk is the best move they could make. But again, I don't really see where he fits in this film.
Me neither.
Whether it's Bruce Banner or the Hulk. So it's a mystery as to why they're throwing him in there. Maybe it was like a rights thing that it's been a while since he's been in anything apart from obviously the She-Hulk series. So they kind of like
interesting.
Had to throw him in there because I don't know if it was like Sony's deal with having Spider-Man is that they had to make a Spider-Man film every set amount of time or a Spider-Man linked to him every set of time to keep the rights. So I don't know if it's the same deal they have with Universal. In the fact that there's always been the thing of they're never allowed to make a solo film for Hulk, but he's allowed to appear in everyone else's.
Right.
But whether they just haven't used him for a while, so they kind of go, we've had to throw him in something because we needed to use him before Doomsday. Yeah. So, again, I don't really see the point in having Hulk in this. I'm not that excited for it, unless it's Hulk just killing the crap out of everyone.
Here's why I don't think it's a contractual obligation to include Hulk. Because they're also rumored to put him in Wonder Man. And you're forcing a character in there that no one likes anymore. They don't deserve for anybody to be excited about Mark Ruffalo showing up to a project. They don't deserve it. But now he's in Spider-Man, now he's in Wonder Man. Why else the hell would they force Hulk into everything if it wasn't to give us back our Hulk, man, and like make it clear to everybody that he's back? There's no way they're going to continue with this character that's one of the biggest failures out of the Avengers as far as like satisfaction with the audience and the character. So I'm gonna stay optimistic. I think they do have a great reason to bring him back. Dude, imagine a Savage Hulk fighting Spider-Man. You get to, Spider-Man can let loose, baby. He's known for holding back. And now he has to go toe-to-toe with Hulk. Besides that, we're talking about contractual stuff. I almost feel like Spider-Man movies are contractually obliged to include major roles from other MCU characters. Every single one has had a ton of, like Nick Fury in the
Mm,
second one, obviously Iron Man in the first one, the third one, all over the place. Well, Doctor Strange was a big one.
yeah.
There has never, I mean, it seems like they have to stuff characters in there because now all of a sudden we have Hulk on one side of the power spectrum and Punisher on the opposite side of the power spectrum, both of them in this Spider-Man movie. I really like the aspect of Savage Hulk versus Spider-Man, see what Spider-Man's capable of, but I also like Bruce Banner and the buddy cop aspect, or not buddy cop, sorry, science bros, Bruce Banner and Peter in the lab together. But then Punisher, here's what I love about this. You can go flip-flop, vice versa. Punisher can somehow take Peter down a lighter path. Let me explain. So Peter's going to be dark, lonely. It's going to be probably the angriest, darkest Spider-Man we've had. It says I have unstable connection. You could still hear me?
Yeah, you just froze for a sec, yeah.
Okay. Could you imagine Punisher, the dark killing guy, like being Peter's not really mentor, maybe half friend, and saying, "Don't go down this dark path." Like while he's in the movie going down his dark path, he's killing people. He's being Punisher. Bernthal would not sign on to this if they watered him down too much, even though they have to because it's PG-13. But he could be Bernthal. He could be everything. You just don't have to show the blood splatter as much. You know what I mean? You could fit him in there. But could you imagine if he was the mentor that makes sure Spider-Man doesn't go down a darker path like him? He's had the experience. He could teach that because he's been through it. I think that would be poetic.
It absolutely would be. I just don't see this version of Punisher doing that. The one we've got...
I can, dude. He's
got
a good heart.
The amount of times when he's been there with Daredevil, and Daredevil's constantly trying to chat him down and go, "You don't have to kill people," and he's just like, "You want to save this guy?" and just shoots the guy in the head. It's like he's not worth saving. So I didn't see this Punisher doing that.
But he lost his children, man. Peter, he probably sees as a kid, and he's like, "Dude, just don't go down my path." He could say, "Fuck Daredevil, he can go down my path. Go ahead. I mean, whatever. I'm going to do what I'm going to do." But that's not his stance in front of Peter Parker. That's his stance. That's what he believes. But he's saying, "Kid, you don't want to become a killer. You don't want to do this. You don't want to be me, even though I believe in what I'm doing."
I mean, I guess it would be a similar way to, what was it, Daredevil Season 2, like Episode 4 or something, when he's got Daredevil chained to the roof. And they're obviously having that whole philosophical debate the whole episode. And he's just like, you're one bad day away from being me. And he can obviously take that sort of philosophy to Spider-Man and be like, you don't want to do this because this is what happens when you don't when you don't listen to that inner self and you go down a bad way. Yeah, it would definitely be interesting. I think on the flip side of that with Hulk, there's an interesting thing here about the fact that obviously in the last Spider-Man film, Doctor Strange does the spell to everybody to forget Peter Parker. If I'm right, when this happens in the comics, Hulk's one of the few that remembers him. And so I wonder if they maybe play on that, because people talked about how it's everyone on Earth forgets Peter Parker. So you've got people like Thor and maybe Captain Marvel that aren't on Earth that will remember that he's Peter Parker. And then maybe like it happened in the comics, you've got Hulk. Hulk's memory couldn't be erased, and so I think just remember that one panel when Hulk always remembered Peter. I mean, sort of caveman style that he talks in. And so it'd be interesting if he just shows up, Hulk shows up here, and he remembers Peter. I think that's going to be an aspect that maybe if Peter's been having this dark, alone phase that he's been going through since he decided, since everyone forgot who Peter Parker was, and that helps draw him back, and Hulk helps Bruce remember, and so they become the Science Bros again. Because of that aspect of Hulk remembers who he is when no one else did. And they connect that way. I think that might be a cool little way to sort of go about it as well.
Absolutely. That could be the reason he's in there, dude. He could have been on Sakaar. The timeline of She-Hulk and this and that. It could have been on Sakaar with his freaking barbecue Hawaiian-ass shirt, like weird-ass hair kid. Or he could have been one of the other Hulk or Bruce Banner while that spell took place, and then the other side of him is the one that remembers because he switched back. Because they are two different identities. I feel like they are two different entities in Marvel. If he was Hulk when the spell went down, Banner would still remember, vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we have to talk about one more thing with Spider-Man is the fact that, first of all, Mac Gargan, I think the name of the character who plays the Scorpion, and he was in an end credit of Homecoming Spider-Man, talking about putting Spider-Man's head in a dryer. And he is in the movie, and he has been posting pictures of his scorpion suit covered in the symbiote. And there's history behind the scorpion, well, not the scorpion as Venom, but Mac Gargan. Am I using his damn actor name or character name? Anyway, whoever is the fictional scorpion real name, he becomes Venom under Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts for a huge era in the Marvel comics. Plenty of that that character being Venom. So you got Scorpion in this movie. You got him posting pictures of Venom covered in the symbiote. You think we're going to see Venom in this movie?
Well, they owe us something on that route,
They
don't they?
do owe us. The
You know,
Lannisters haven't paid their debts yet.
the post credit scene that we got from oh god, what was it? It was No Way Home, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah, with Tom Hardy's Venom is obviously at that bar, and when he gets zapped back to his own universe, and there's a bit of the Venom symbiote left behind. So they've obviously planted the seeds for it, and that's the way it looks like they wanted to introduce Venom to this universe, rather than him having come from space or whatever. But just the fact that he's obviously, as we know, there's a hive mind when it comes to the symbiotes and stuff. I'm sure there are obviously plenty of other symbiotes in the MCU's universe that are just out there that we haven't met yet. But it is a way to introduce Venom into this one. They need to pay off that post-credit scene, otherwise it was just a gimmick to have Tom Hardy's Venom in there and leave a bit of symbiote behind. So they need to pay that off and introduce it. Is this the right way to introduce him? Again, it's a tough one because you don't want it shoehorned in like Spider-Man 3. Just for the sake of it, because the studio wanted it in there.
Right.
But at some point, you've got to make... Because obviously we're all looking at Secret Wars as a soft reboot. And so you need to make... And I know Kevin Feige's come up recently and said some of the post-credit scenes and characters that you've seen over the last 5-6 years, you're not going to see again. We kind of swept those under the carpet and we're letting them go. But you've got to think that the symbiote one is one that they've got to make pay off at some point. Otherwise, it is just a bit of a slap in the face to the rest of us. So, yeah, that one I think we definitely need to see. Coming into this film, we've already got a lot going on. We've got, as we said, Scorpion, Hulk, Punisher. They've gone back and forth in the news several times about it's going to be a multiverse film. No, it's going to be more of a grounded film. No, it's going to be this, like, just make your mind up and stick to it. So hopefully, with the fact that Hulk, Punisher, Scorpion is in it, it's going to be a bit more grounded, and I don't mind them putting Venom into that situation, or just showing him come to life in this film at least, and just having that little bit payoff for the future maybe to set up. I'd love to see Venom in Doomsday. So
I'm pretty confident they confirmed it is a street level film. So we have that going for us. Venom, dude, you're right. It's so stuffed. You already have Punisher, Hulk. Mr. Negative is supposed to be the villain. Venom, that totally has a Spider-Man 3 feel of being forced in there for something. So, man, as much as I want to see Venom, I honestly don't see him fitting in this movie. At the same time, I'd be very excited to see him in this movie, because I don't think if it seems like he's shoehorned into to us from our perspective, I kind of have more trust in them than that. Now that we have the power structure back and Feige's, if they throw Venom in there, they got to have a good reason. And we can't take out the fact that Spider-Man was covered in the symbiote in Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars. And on Battle World, he was covered in that weird-ass symbiote. And he took it home to Reed Richards in the Amazing Spider-Man comics. He took that back into his title and studied it with Mr. Fantastic. That's a lot of fun, man. You got Pedro in there now. I really want to see just that scene. I want to see Reed and Spider-Man in a lab studying that symbiote, man. That's like one of my weirdly favorite, doesn't make any sense, but like one of my favorite iconic moments. So you got the title of Secret Wars coming. I always used to complain that Infinity War was like the movie, like while Spider-Man's in space, have a symbiote attached to him temporarily, and it might even just like leave him and go somewhere else. I don't know, but like he was in space, it's time to... But they could be saving that for the damn title, the Avengers. Anyway, don't see him fitting into this movie. Very, very excited to see the potential Venom in the MCU. Wish it was Tom Hardy, but it's going to be different. And again, there's a lot of contractual stuff there. Who knows what's going on with Venom? Just like Hulk and Spider-Man.
As long as Madam Web doesn't appear, I'm all good.
Okay, imagine this, though. Spider-Man 4 ends, and you're waiting there for the end credits. End credits pop on, and Peter's in his apartment hanging out. Knock on the door, opens the door. Looks like Tony Stark. Tony Stark's like, look, we have the most important mission of our lives. I need you to come with me. We need to go do some work. Maybe even hands him a symbiote and says, let's go. We have shit to do. You remember Loki who attacked us that one time? Well, he is gonna destroy the multiverse. We have to go get Loki or something. And Spider-Man, trusting his father figure, so surprised that his father figure is alive, goes with him, grabs his hand, and then boom, lights shut off, and then you're just like, oh my god, it's Doom, Doctor Doom, and Spider-Man in cahoots by the beginning of Doomsday. That would be wild.
It absolutely would be. The only way I don't see that happening is because we haven't had an explanation yet as to how the Fantastic Four and Tony Stark's Doom end up in the MCU universe. Although you could have that as like a precursor, like the way they used to do the post-credit scene, so it would be like a clip from the next film. So to like, because obviously we've heard that Brand New Day takes place either directly before or during the events of Doomsday. So there's no reason technically why you couldn't have the post-credit scene of like of him showing up and going, we've got an important mission to do. I need you on my side for this, and taking it with him without Peter Parker knowing really what the deal is, and obviously just being a clip from like being halfway through Doomsday. So yeah, there's no reason why that couldn't happen. To be fair. If they're going to do that, they need to show his face this time, because the letdown of not seeing his face in the Fantastic Four was unreal.
Yeah, that would be the Peter time, though, because that wouldn't make sense unless you saw his face. It wouldn't make sense unless you know that Peter thinks that is Tony Stark.
Yeah, fair.
So yeah, show the face. Another interesting aspect of Secret Wars, I was over there reading the original one, is that Iron Man is dead or something in this one, and Rhodey is the one wearing the Iron Man suit.
There's a lot of interesting things that happen in Secret Wars, though, that obviously they're not going to get round to really doing, but just like...
Well, I mean, a handful of things in this comic they will absolutely adapt in one way or another, even if it's just a weird scene out of place, out of context. For example, in this comic, Doctor Doom rewires Ultron, and Ultron is basically his Doombot, and Ultron is the one that kills Kang here. I was like, oh my god, I can totally see that. Let's go.
Just sends the Ultron bots after the Council of Kangs.
Yeah. Could you imagine, dude? That would be so nuts.
It would never happen on screen, but I would still love to see, because what was it? Like Doctor Strange's astral form takes over the Punisher, doesn't he, in the comic? Or he joins with the Punisher.
I don't remember, but I could see it happening.
I think it was like one of the little side comics that came from it, like events that are happening while Secret Wars is going on. So Doctor Strange basically like morphs his like astral form into the Punisher, because he wants to use him to like attack things and eliminate people and eliminate Doom. And then Punisher basically refuses to let him do it, and so Punisher ends up like committing suicide and killing himself with a bomb or something to stop Doctor Strange's plan from happening. He's like, fuck you, Strange, and then like blows himself up.
That's not the original, right? That's Hickman's era?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so a lot of stuff can happen. What do you think about Galactus or Silver Surfer in the 616 or playing any role in Doomsday?
I think, well, I'm not sure they'll introduce them in this. I think this will be like a post-Secret Wars thing where they bring, Nor and Rad and Galactus to the 616, because they're obviously out there somewhere. And so I think having just dealt with them in the Fantastic Four film, which I suppose is going to only be in the row of films, it's only 2 films before Doomsday, and then 3 or 4 before Secret Wars. So I'm not sure they'll bring them in. I think they've got a lot of characters to work with already that they're already throwing into this. So I'm not sure that we'll actually get to see them in this. Maybe it's a hard one, because maybe you could see Secret Wars happening. I don't think it'll happen in Doomsday for sure. But maybe Secret Wars, but again, I think it's too much with what's going on and like a reboot. So I think once there is a reboot and maybe the Fantastic Four are in the main 616 universe permanently, then they'll reintroduce that. And it would be interesting if they kept the same Fantastic Four. And so they're like, shit, we just dealt with the Silver Surfer and Galactus in our own universe, and now we've got this one, but they make them much more powerful.
Yeah. Part of me feels like he's going to fail his plan with Franklin Richards, and then, comic accurate-wise, go use Galactus for his cosmic power needs. Because, dude, you can't succeed with their baby. They took the baby, and he's actually going to get what he wants from that baby? Hell no, dude. That could be a big part of the first part of Doomsday, is they go save Franklin Richards. Now Doom is in cahoots, whatever, but then maybe, I don't know, Galactus. Then he goes to Galactus to get his power cosmic, which is just like the comics.
Well, true, but I think the way that the MCU's been set up is that he's going to go after Loki to get that power. Because Loki's
yeah, but
the
we
one.
also obviously he wants a baby. He freaking did that.
Well,
in
this
the
is true,
post-credit.
but I mean in terms of like because he can't get him, and so the only way he thinks he can get the power for the multiverse is by going after the one that's currently holding it all together, which is Loki.
Yeah, I just think he will need a power boost
Yeah.
to get to Loki.
Okay.
So he used in the original, his power boost was cosmic to get to the Beyonder. In the Hickman era, his power boost was like the Molecule Man manipulating him also to get to the Beyonders. So he fails the power cosmic with the baby because we saved the baby. Of course we saved the damn baby. This is like not even rated R stuff. So he fails there. That could be a big win early in Doomsday. You could see how powerful Doom is, even though we kind of get a quick one on him. And then he goes after Galactus and gets a power cosmic. He's going to need an upgrade before seeing Loki.
Fair.
But we can't agree, though. He's going to go after Loki. That's going to be like the big thing here. I feel like the big climax of the movie is all the Avengers in between Loki and Doctor Doom and Doombots. Like, that seems like a total climactic scene that makes sense.
I mean, I'm looking forward to that because it's going to be epic. And, just that nagging feeling that he is obviously going to kill Loki in this. Loki doesn't come out of this alive.
100%. Loki is done for, dude, because that's how he becomes Emperor God.
And
I don't know then.
Once again, because we've been told that Thor and Loki are going to reunite in this film. They're going to get that reuniting. And so poor Thor is going to have to once again watch his brother get killed. And it's like the third iteration of his brother. It's going to be sad. And because I think after how good the Loki series was, and in a way it's a tremendous ending for Loki to be the one that's holding the multiverse together. In a way it's also sad because he's like, he made this decision for everyone to be the one that sacrifices himself to hold the multiverse together. And so his ending to the whole MCU saga is to be killed by Doom. You need someone like Doom to do it because you need to show his power. At the same point, I'm not sure anymore that Loki deserves that ending. Like, he deserves to maybe go off into the sunset. And maybe we get like almost like that post-credit scene where he's like, he arrives in Valhalla and he gets his like ending and he gets to reunite with his mum and his dad and stuff. And he's welcomed into Valhalla as like a hero. I think that's the only way you can make it a justifiable ending. Otherwise, I think Loki should be left alone, even though he's definitely going to get killed. I think he deserves a good ending.
Dude, you're totally right. That like changes my whole perspective. Who gives a shit about seeing Loki die again? Even if he is holding the strings of time. Like, no one cares at this point. He's died more than any other character. Over and over. Like, every movie he dies. So, I'm just taken aback. I don't know. They're just going to kill him again. That's boring as hell. So maybe I hope he doesn't need to go after Loki. You just got to wonder, we're all talking about Loki. What if this has nothing to do with Loki? So what if he's holding the strings of time together? The incursions could be from a different source. It could still be the Beyonders. It could still be so many things other than Loki. Besides, if it was something Loki could fix and Loki would fix it. Could you imagine if that was just the end of Loki's story? Time is being held together as it should be. That's it. And then there's other multiversal threats that can kind of tamper with that, but like, Loki's done. Although we did hear that Thor and Loki would reunite.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm totally switched now. I don't want to see that. I don't care. I don't want to see Loki die again. It is what it is. I don't know. So, it just seems like the most likely place for them to go.
Unless they go down the route of somehow Doom siphons his power without killing him, or turns him back to a mortal without his powers or whatever, and he can go off and live his life somewhere or whatever, so you don't technically have to kill him off, you just have to get his power transferred from Loki to Doom, so Doom has that cosmic ability. That's the only other way I can say about it, because I'm just like, they worked long and hard to get Loki on the good side of everyone, and so just let him have his happy ending. You don't need to kill him off again.
Yeah. Anything else on the MCU? Doomsday, anything at all?
I think so, to be fair. It just seems a long way away, 15 months still.
Yeah. I'll close it off just like the DC. One last question. How do you see Doom taking care of Kang to get rid of that story thread there? Or did Loki already get rid of Kang?
I'm not sure they're going to. Because, like,
Okay.
obviously, heavy rumours coming around the last month or two that Kevin Feige was reconsidering Jonathan Majors to bring back Kang in some capacity. Obviously, just not as heavily at the front as he was going to be in this particular phase, but just slowly reintroduce him back into MCU and have him become a big bad. Not like, the saga's big bad, but have him as like a reoccurring big bad throughout the next few phases after Secret Wars. So I'm not even sure that they will completely get rid of them. Everyone's been talking about you've got to tie that off now, like show Doom's power, have him show up, massacre the Council of Kangs, and be done with it. I don't think they should shut. I mean, whether it's Jonathan Majors or someone else, I don't think they should shut Kang off so easily because he's such a great character from the comics. He's actually one of my favourite villains. I don't think you need to shut that thread off. You could just let it roll on for a while. And you can just put it to the back burner and just, like I said, have him reappear in another phase or two down the line and just build him up again. So I don't think they need to kill him off or kill off Kang or the Council of Kangs or anything. So, I mean, whether he reappears in Secret Wars, I think there's a small chance that he has like a cameo in Secret Wars, the character. Whether, like I say, whether it's John Majors or not, who knows? But yeah, I personally, I don't think they need to do that. I don't think they need to touch it. I think they can just let it be and reintroduce Kang a bit further down the line.
I agree with the thought, but I think they will do something. If not anything else than just to be meta, like the way that they make comments about a new roadie, like this is a different me, get over it, or whatever they do. I feel like it's too big of something that can't be addressed at this point. So I agree with you. I think they could just ditch it and just forget about it. And they still might. I think that's a good chance still, but I would lean like slightly over to the chance if they will show Doom killing Kang and the Council of Kangs, and one way or another we'll see that. But I'm like 51% on that.
Only 51%.
Right, 50% they can forget about it. Cool. All right, so there's a little bit of Star Wars news actually, which is rare, fun, man. DC and Marvel are having a resurgence, and now we need a Star Wars resurgence. And things have been pretty good lately. Skeleton Crew, even though more tailored for a younger crowd, still pretty solid. I appreciated that they were dedicated to storytelling and just having a good little Star Wars show, even though for kids. But Andor, now there's your adult cookie there. Great show. So you're coming off 2 wins. I think there's a lot of good stuff to look forward to. I'm still personally very excited about Mandalorian and Grogu and that Thrawn climax movie. I think Ahsoka season 1, I think was
next year, so yeah.
I was going to say, I think season 1 was pretty good. I actually really liked that. I think it's pretty good Star Wars, even though it got a lot of hate. So season 2, I'm excited about. And I think we got confirmation that Ewan McGregor's coming back as Obi-Wan for season 2.
Don't think there was official confirmation.
Is that just a rumor?
It was just a rumor, I think. Because I think he said something that may have hinted at it, but there's been no official confirmation that he's back for season 2. Not that I've seen, anyway. I haven't really been scanning the news as much recently. But yeah, I mean, a bunch of the stills from Mandalorian Grogu got dropped over the last couple of days. They were just the ones from the leaked trailer from earlier in the year, but they were like high-res pics. Good to see some of those about Rotter the Hutt, if anyone knows who that is. Growing up an adult now and looking jacked as hell for a Hutt. So that's going to be interesting to see him on screen.
Yeah. Would you say, are you more excited for the future of Star Wars, Marvel, or DC right now?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, you're probably going to have to say no DC because it's the one starting off from scratch right now. Like, in a way, Marvel is still sort of scratching to recover from the shit show of the last 5 years. And whilst they talk about, as we already mentioned, maybe Secret Wars being a soft reboot, there's exciting things for them to come in terms of like the X-Men being introduced and a few other bits and pieces, and maybe some recastings of the classic characters for younger actors and stuff, and starting that off fresh. So that could be exciting. I know a lot of people have been waiting for X-Men for a long time, to be fair. Star Wars, I mean, bearing in mind Star Wars, as everyone can see from behind me, is top of my list of obviously all of them, of the things that I love the most. I'm not sure that it's like super exciting for the future because they've got a bit of a plan laid out, but again, they seem to be wavering on this. And the fact that they were like, okay, so we've had the Mando timeline, or the Mandoverse, as obviously it's been called, and it's going to culminate in this like heir to the Empire Thrawn film that brings all of those stories together and ends like the final thing about the Empire for this timeline. But then they've been like, so they were like, okay, we can have the Mandalorian Grogu film, and then there's going to be Ahsoka season 2, and then that's probably going to be the Thrawn film after that. But then they've been like, if Mandalorian and Grogu is a success, then we might make that into a trilogy. And then if Ahsoka's a success, we might extend that as well. And so all of a sudden, like, we're not going to get the Thrawn film till like 2050 because they're going to throw all these other series and films in between. And so you're like, is that exciting? Or are you just trying to prolong it when you want Star Wars to sort of move on to the more exciting things they've got in the offing, like the Starfighter film that's coming up with Ryan Gosling, which we got some news on that this week because they were adding to the cast. You know, I want them to do this Dawn of the Jedi film that's set 25,000 years in the past. That's exciting. Possible new projects with Rey. I mean, lover or hater, that's still exciting to get things post Skywalker era, so to speak. And so I think they need to move out of that range of like 50 years and start doing stuff either side of that. And so that for me, they need to start wrapping this Mandoverse up, because otherwise they're prolonging it and it's not exciting. It's just another case of Dave Filoni not being able to let shit go. He can't let go of his own characters. He's obsessed with them. And this is why he brought back Ahsoka. This is why he keeps bringing back other characters from his past, because he just can't, he has a thing, he just can't let go of his own characters. And so by prolonging it, he gets to extend his own obsession with that. And that's not good for Star Wars. You need new exciting things right now. We're past the Skywalker saga. We need things like, how exciting was it when we got Mandalorian Grogu at first? And then he starts bringing all of his old characters back. You're like, cool, we need other stuff. Acolyte was partly exciting. Skeleton Crew was partly exciting for all different reasons. So really the DC is the one that's starting fresh with a brand new universe. And they're going to introduce lots of characters that we won't have seen before. Or if you're not particularly familiar with comics that you've never seen, but you're getting old characters in a new way as well. And so that's exciting because you want to see how James Gunn is going to tell that story and you're building a universe from scratch, whereas everything else is already established universes. And whilst James Gunn has said nothing's really an origin story, everyone's established, whether it's year 1 or year 2 or 10 years into them being a hero or whatever, but you're still building a universe from scratch. That is probably the most exciting project because it can go anywhere. Whereas the other two are trying to keep hold of interest and redefine the interest that they've got in them. So yeah, for me, the DC's probably the most exciting out of the three because it can go anywhere, whereas the other two are having to juggle themselves and keep interest rather than reignite it. You're on mute, buddy.
Going back to Filoni and his characters, I think so he has too much love for his characters. That's all he wants to do. But at the same time, I think he sees their potential and he wants to see it fully on the big screen. So like he's like the happiest dude in the world right now, giving the creative powers that he has been given. But they did great in Clone Wars. Everyone loves the characters, and now we're getting to this, like now they're getting shoved down our throat. And now we're leading to this big Thrawn climax. And honestly, I'm excited about Ahsoka Season 2 and Mandalorian and Grogu. What I'm really excited about is that Thrawn climax. I think that movie has the potential to really, really feel like Star Wars. Like with a great villain, which we have kind of lacked. Snoke being killed off so soon. Kylo switching, he was pretty good for what he was doing, but it wasn't like a big main villain. That movie is so exciting. If you're talking about delaying and doing another movie for Mandalorian and Grogu, another season, that's just gonna delay my excitement, man, because that's like my biggest hope for Star Wars right now is that one Thrawn movie, baby. Starfighter, I'm excited about. You hear a lot of good stuff, like they have the choreographer behind Top Gun Maverick and F1. That's exciting, but Star Wars is a gnarly villain and lightsabers, baby. So as good as that'll be, it'll be great. It could be great, but I need that, dude. And Thrawn is, I think, our next big opportunity. Otherwise, you're going to have to create a brand new, something out of scratch, weird stuff, or go Old Republic and do one of those Sith. But I do think Dave Filoni deserves a chance to show his favorite little characters, his babies, give them their stage, give them a big screen appearance. So I'm good with it. I'm good with it because I like those characters too. And honestly, the people who loved Clone Wars so much, there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there. I mean, at this point, I can't really call them Star Wars fans. No, but that don't watch that animated stuff. They've never seen Clone Wars. They've only seen all the movies, all the maybe live action shows. So to give those characters a chance to shine on the big screen, I'm all for, especially with Thrawn coming as the big villain. Building up to him is pretty cool, dude. And I really liked him in Ahsoka Season 1. So he's probably my single favorite Star Wars book, is that Thrawn. It was just Thrawn by Timothy Zahn. So cannot wait for that, dude. I cannot wait.
I agree with you in the fact that, yeah, Filoni deserves the chance to put the characters on the big screen. What I'm worried about is that he pushes it too far and ruins the legacy of some of them.
They have to end it there. What that movie is the end of it. No more.
I mean, the rumours that obviously Anakin Skywalker has a much bigger role to play in season 2. I'm like, you're playing with fire on that one, because you introduce too much, you don't tell the story right, or you don't use him the right way, and all of a sudden it's like you've ruined it a little bit, and the ending that Anakin deserves. And like him showing up in that episode in season 1 of Ahsoka, and then just showing up at the end as like a Force ghost looking over Ahsoka, that you could have left it like that way and it would have been perfect. But for me, this might be a controversial opinion, and I know a few people that don't agree with me on this for sure. I kind of think the trust that a lot of Star Wars fans are putting in Filoni is, for me, a little bit misplaced. I don't think he's the saviour for Star Wars that everyone thinks he is, simply because of his obsession with his own characters. Yep, you're absolutely right. Give him a chance to put them on the screen and give them those animated characters the recognition on the big screen. But don't push it. If he pushes it too far, he ruins everything. And then he'll ruin his own legacy within Star Wars, because he likes to think of himself as George Lucas 2.0 for Star Wars. And a lot of other people see him like that. In Dave, we trust and all this sort of stuff, but I don't have that faith in him the same way that everyone else does. For me, he's really on the edge of pushing it too far. So if you start then making more series of Ahsoka and more Mandalorian Grogu films and prolonging that finale with Thrawn, it just loses credibility. It loses the build-up effect of what you need it to be. When you're taking 3, 4, 5 shows and culminating it in the Thrawn finale, you need the build-up, but prolonging the build-up is just too much. This isn't Marvel. You can't have 23 films worth to build up to Thrawn, like Marvel did with Thanos. So, he's in danger of pushing it too much, and if he does that, I'm gonna pat myself on the back for calling it. At the same time, you'll have ruined a little bit of legacy of Star Wars for me. You do season 2 of Ahsoka, do the Mando Grogu film. If you want to talk about a season 2 of Skeleton Crew or anything like that, possibly. I don't think it needs a season 2. It wasn't that good that it needed it. The interesting thing is, on the updated galaxy map that got released for the Star Wars Galaxy, obviously at the end of the Ahsoka series, we see Thrawn going to Dathomir with the witches, and obviously Attilan, which is the old school Republic planet that from Skeleton Crew, where the kids are from. On the galaxy map, they're right next door to each other. So a lot of people are talking about, how do you get Skeleton Crew into this universe, because it's part of the whole thing. Well, Thrawn's there, and if you found out about Attilan has got all these old school Republic riches, then why not go and invade them and steal the riches? And that's how you bring Skeleton Crew into it. And you don't need a season 2 to explore it more. Just tie everything together and get Thrawn onto that finale, because that's all we need to see. I mean, I've been placing money bets on who dies in the Thrawn finale as well. Boba Fett is my favourite to die in that one. Is like a big, farewell, martyr type death. He just saves a bunch of people at the end of it. But yeah, it's just to the original point is I don't have as much faith in Dave Filoni as a lot of people seeing him as the saviour of Star Wars, because I think he's in danger of pushing his own characters too far. Give him that chance, as he said, but don't push it too far, because otherwise it is ruined.
Okay. Yeah, 100%, dude. I don't think he's the answer for Star Wars. He is just slipped into this nice opportunity to give his era the one final climactic shine, a couple live-action build-ups, but he's not the answer for Star Wars, because he's never done live-action, dude. I don't know Ahsoka Season 1, how closely he was connected to that, I don't know. Doing things animated like Clone Wars is just so different from live-action, so I don't know. The cool thing is, he's very open to people's ideas. He doesn't think he's the master of everything. He's always from what it seems like from these interviews and behind the scenes videos, he's very open to ideas and just loves Star Wars. But he just doesn't have the experience with live action creation, especially not the big screen. So yeah, we'll see, man. But man, I'm telling you, Thrawn climactic movie, that's what Star Wars freaking needs. If they nail that I will be very, very happy. It's the single greatest character I'd bring from the books onto the big screen. That's my number 1, baby. Darth Bane number 2. Let's go. But Thrawn is the main villain over there. You already got Ahsoka. I'm already attached to these characters, even if their show wasn't amazing. You got Ahsoka, maybe the Skeleton Crew, and
And they brought Lars Mikkelsen in, obviously, to play him in live action, which was the right move, because there's no way you can replace that voice.
Oh, he was perfect, dude.
So the voice is everything, because I was just if they recast him for Ahsoka, and who are you going to get that can put that voice from Rebels to it? So whether he looked the same, everyone's talking about the fact he's a bit older, he's a bit fatter in real life.
Who cares?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying,
he's not a fighter.
You just close your eyes and listen to the voice. That's all you need with Thrawn.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up with Star Wars with this. Think of all the books, all the characters. Now you are Kathleen Kennedy right now. Assuming, I forgot, maybe she lost her position. Didn't she lose her power? No, she's
I
still
don't think
good.
so. No, I think
She's good. She's good to go. So you're Kathleen Kennedy now, and Star Wars demands that you announce a trilogy right now. What is the trilogy that's going to bring Star Wars back? Go.
has to be the Old Republic. Everyone's been crying out for it for so long.
More specific.
It's a tough one because you could go Bane easily, and that would be a massive draw.
Yes, that's the answer, baby.
Whether you go Revan, because technically Revan's been named in canon, but not the character we all know as being the canon one. It's just his name. So it's just like, could you go Revan and tell that, like, a version of that story? I keep thinking, though, that the Old Republic would be more suited to a TV series where you can prolong it over like 2 or 3 seasons rather than just doing like a film trilogy.
That is Star Wars Game of Thrones right there. Just Old Republic. Yeah. That's it. Season 1 and all.
Because like Sith Empire versus Jedi Empire would be unreal. But yeah, I think if you're going to do a film trilogy, I think you have to go Bane. Old Republic, because people want Old Republic regardless. Like, doesn't matter which part of the Old Republic, we've been crying out for it for years. So I think, yeah, the Bane trilogy, you take obviously, you know, some musings from the books, from the novels that you love so much, and use them as a basis for it. But to do that in live action would be fucking unreal, wouldn't it? So, and just showing how the Rule of Two comes about, and then setting off down that path.
Oh my god, yeah, it's Darth Bane way up here. And yeah, there's a lot of good stories that'd be good on screen. Not even close to Darth Bane, dude. That's your billion-dollar trilogy. That's so cinematic. Following a miner, raising the ranks into the Sith, taking over the Sith, and then starting the Rule of Two. There's I cannot imagine a better Star Wars project, a better Star Wars movie, dude. Yeah, there's a lot of red lightsabers, a lot of Sith lore. Yeah, so the Dawn of the Jedi, that's going back to that, which actually is coming out if we stop being such nerds right now. Dawn of the Jedi that's the kind of Star Wars I'm really, really looking forward to. Yeah. You know, like getting back to the lore of the Force and whether it's Jedi or Sith. But you know what, dude? If it's Dawn of the Jedi, there will be like an Old Republic Sith villain in that movie. It's got to be. It's not just going to be them exploring national treasure.
Well, it was described as more like almost like a religious cult type film. So exploring the first people to come across, you know, discovering the Force, so to speak, and they're using it. And you're going to have part of that group. Some of them are going to turn to the good, and some of them are going to turn to the bad where they use the Force. So you are going to have people that you could set up to be big bad villains in like another feature film, you know, a few years after. You could turn this into a trilogy, to be fair, on its own, in 100%. Terms of the discovery of the Force, splitting up into factions as the lore already says that they did, and then having big bads from there, and the formation then of the Sith Empire and the Republic after that, so to speak. So
all right, so
they could go anywhere with that, to be fair.
It wasn't Darth Bane who was the first like big Sith.
I mean, there's nothing really officially too much in canon. It's all like partly legends and part canon, but it's just the fact that Sith are a race, and so it's like, are you talking about the people that then turned away from the Force originally and started using the dark side? You know, are they the first Siths, or are you talking about the Siths as we know them as like the Sith Empire and Sith religion, so to speak?
I guess the former. I guess this movie would be a great villain. Everyone's exploring this Force, and then another person leads using that Force in the different way, becoming the Sith, so that becomes your main villain. But if you're going to put a big name behind that main villain who is one of the first leader of the Sith, would you have a name?
No, not off the top of my head.
Well, they could just use Darth Bane. To be honest, nothing's canonized. They could use freaking anybody, so I could see them using, maybe, dude, could you imagine all this talk we've been doing, at least me, Dave, and Caleb, and we might have brought it up with you a lot too, but the Darth Bane trilogy being such an obvious route for them to go. Can you believe if Darth Bane was just going to be in this movie this whole time and we get him finally?
I mean, you said, yeah, they could literally take it anywhere, and because nothing's canonized, you can drop it in that. I mean, Bane is sort of been canonized already because he did appear in an episode of the Clone Wars.
forgot about all that. I
Season
mean,
6 of the Clone Wars, when Yoda's
was
trying
like a
to...
zombie or something? It
No.
wasn't like fresh
So
out of the oven.
It was when they thought originally that obviously Clone Wars was going to end with season 6 before it came back. And Yoda goes off and is trained by the wills of the Force, or he's tested by the wills of the Force for them to teach him how to keep his consciousness after death, the way that Qui-Gon learned. And so part of that is that he then has to go to Caravan, obviously the original Sith homeworld, and he has to go to a Sith temple, and he comes across Bane's grave, casket, whatever you want to call it, and like he basically appears as like almost like a Force ghost, but as almost like a Force ghoul in a way. He just sort of comes out and he's like testing Yoda a little bit, and Yoda's like, "You're already dead, blower. You've been dead for 1,000 years. There's nothing you can do to me." And just sort of like walk through him in a way, and he just vanishes. But so Bane has technically already been like canonized in mainstream Star Wars. Because he even says to Yoda, and he's like, "Do you know who I am?" And Yoda's like, "Yeah, you're the guy that created the rule of 2." So technically, yeah, Bane is already there as like a canonized part of Star Wars for creating the rule of 2.
I want to watch that episode. Yeah, they could play with years. I mean, I don't know. Who knows if they go back 1,000 years, match it with Yoda's dialogue. But I feel like they've reported it was like 10,000 years or something in the past.
Oh, what, for Bane?
For the Dawn of the Jedi movie.
Oh, yeah, they said that was going to be like 25,000 years in the past.
Gotcha. Yeah, so who knows what they do there.
Which is interesting, because was it Hugh Yang, the robot from Ahsoka? He's obviously reported to be that old as well. So he might even be in that film as being like one of the droids that was built, first of all, by the people that created or became of the Jedi religion.
Yeah. Well, all right. I mean, anything else in the nerd fandom that you want to talk about, Andy?
I mean, have you been watching Alien Earth?
Oh, I'm on episode 2, so I keep falling asleep. It's my last thing of the day kind of episode. Loving it.
It's great. I mean, episode 5 has just dropped this week, and I've been absolutely loving it. I've always been in and out of the Alien franchise in terms of how much I love it. I got traumatized with it as a kid, which I'll tell you about another time, which is an 8-year-old traumatized. I mean, traumatized by it. I've been loving this show. It's really, really good. It's so good. And this latest episode of episode 5, so many nods to the original film. It's been perfect in a way. The kids are a little bit annoying, like the kids in the synth bodies or whatever. But apart from that, if no one's been watching it, you need to get on it, because it has been tremendous so far.
Nice. Dude, yeah, this will be edited out. Dude, we are not even live on YouTube right now.
I didn't think we were, to be honest.
What the hell?
I was like, this is recording. I tried to bring YouTube up just so I could see if there are any comments that came up, and I was like, it's not even live.
All right, this will be going on Spotify. It was great shit. That's a great episode anyway. So anyway, I'll get back to Alien. All that's cut out. Yeah, I've heard episode 4 was incredible. What's the deal with that?
So last week's episode, I mean, they have all been incredible, to be fair. The way that they said it's obviously about the xenomorph mostly, but the other species that they have, because they obviously is always stated there's 5 species on the ship when it crashes, and they've shown 2 of the other species quite prominently. There's one called Teocellus, which is like this weird tentacle mini octopus that's got loads of irises in one giant eye.
Is that the one that was like a giant tick that sucks all the blood out of that dude's...
No, that's one of the other ones. This one is the other one that you see in one of the jars, where it's just got one massive eyeball.
So then you have another species, which is they're introducing way new alien species, which is kind of new for that franchise, right?
Yeah, because obviously the ship has been off in the far reaches of space and picking up alien species and whatever, but yeah, they've been tremendous, to be fair. It's all been really good the way they've mixed them. Obviously, the xenomorph has been lethal in this series. It's been so good, and you get some of the best looks I think we've ever had at xenomorphs, in terms of just the xenomorph when it just stands next to someone, and you just get these clean shots. Obviously, some kind of suit, but just still the fact that it just looks great. This latest episode had some of that as well, and it just I've really been enjoying this far more than I thought I would. Great that the episodes are literally an hour long. They don't promise you an hour and give you 37 minutes and 22 minutes of credits. It's literally an hour long. So I've really been enjoying it. It's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, I'm on the Xenomorph train right now because you got me reading Alien vs. Avengers, which Andy and I will be covering at some point. Nice review there. Jonathan Hickman writing that comic, so that's freaking awesome. So it totally lined up. As soon as I read that, I had to start Alien Earth because I've been hearing the hype about it. So that's what my wife and I watched at the end of the night there. And I just find myself being in love with the xenomorphs, that lore right now. Going through the comics, which is kind of cool to get a little bit of, in a way, exclusive info on the xenomorphs and the Wayland Corporation. So that's a lot of fun. And then Alien Earth. It's like it's just as good as the movie for me so far. It's the same thing. It's just as good. And that movie was great. So we have this great movie, this great show. Which it's weird that doesn't happen often. Godzilla was one of the first to do it. A monster movie franchise comes out with a show. Not too interested in the Apple Plus series. I feel like Godzilla movies are already drawn out enough without enough action. I don't need more character development. And then I kind of figured Alien would be the same, but it feels just as good as the best movie stuff. Even if aliens aren't killing people, they always have a way to make some kind of sci-fi statement with AI and consciousness. And, you got your synths and your hybrids and your cyborgs. There's so much lore to appreciate outside of the horror aspect of this franchise. And they've done a great job building that, like literally just recently, right? It's just blown up in a way that is not just a horror franchise. It's like a full-on sci-fi franchise.
Yeah.
Like Star Trek, it could build into anything, especially now that we hear talk about the Predator, who's been doing great things over there with their like Killer of Killers show and their Prey movie. Like they're picking it up too, and now everyone's excited about both of them, and we're going to get another Alien vs. Predator, so that's just further like expanding.
Predator Badlands comes out, next month?
Right.
So
Badlands. Is that live action or is that animated?
Yeah, it's live action.
Yeah, that's live action. So, I kind of think that's going to be good too, to be honest, because everyone's on a roll here. Then you get your Avengers movie. You get Alien vs. Predator after everyone's re-hyped up about these franchises. So I can't wait to continue.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been doing good shit, and I'm really there for it right now. I'm not much of a horror person. I'm really not. But recently I've been trying to watch a bit more horror here and there. Alien, class it as sci-fi, horror, whatever you want. But yeah, I'm there for it right now. I really am.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps it up today. It actually wasn't a live episode at all. That was a joke. This was always for Spotify. So thanks for tuning in. As always, the Galactic Core, Why So Sidious. We might have some news down the line for y'all. We'll see how that goes. Maybe it's big news. We'll see. And yeah, we're at Why So Sidious Pod, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. Next, we got Peacemaker reviews coming out. So stay tuned along with We Can Geek, your nerd news. We'll see you next time.